All right, welcome back to Framework Fridays. One of the things we talked about recently was the door, the productivity tool, and we talked about this last week. And the door, the productivity tool, is helping you be accountable to you and help you be accountable to the direction that you need to go. Well, the door works best when it's paired and connected to the game. And today we're going to get an overview of what the game actually looks like. When I say game, you're like, what is he even talking about? Like, what game? What's going on? We don't have a game. We don't have a board game that we're going to send out to you and be like, here's the game, play the game. What we're talking about is the game of life. And you might be thinking, hey, life does not feel like a game right now. And I get that. And part of it is because of the things that you've been through and the abuse that you've gone through. I'm not making light of that. I'm just saying we're going to view life as a game. That way we can actually play it to the fullest. It's a place of joy, of production, of excitement, of development, of multiple things that happen inside of this beautiful and wonderful game of life that God's actually given us to play. So if you take a different perspective and look at it, life becomes a little bit different. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It doesn't mean that it's good. It's just different than what you might be currently experiencing or thinking right now. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel, turned coach to be able to help women actually break free from toxic relationships and men go from liars and cheaters and abusers to actually truthful and honest. If you want to know more about what I do, then I'd love to have you go to rawmotivations.com just to be able to see and understand more about who I am, how I help liberate you, and how I help work through this piece of breaking the chains that currently have you shackled inside of your toxic relationship. When we talk through this piece of the game, one of the aspects is we're trying to drive you towards a vision of who you actually want to be. Many times when I ask people on a coaching call, I'll be like, what do you actually want? They kind of have this like deer in the headlights look and they're like, nobody's asked me that before. And I get that because you've been in a toxic relationship with a guy that doesn't actually care about you. So as a result, why would he want to know anything about you? He doesn't. So inside of this, we have to be able to help you move forward in the healing process by establishing a goal, a vision, a North Star that's actually going to pull you towards who you're actually called to be. So we're going to do this in a couple different ways. The overview of the game is in 4 parts. 4-part frameworks. We love 4-part frameworks. So you're going to see this more and more and more. 4 parts. The first part is the foundational frame. And the foundational frame is us sitting down and actually writing down what are the current facts about your situation. What's the current facts across all 4 domains? Body, being, balance, and business. What's the current facts about your weight, your body image, how you actually look at yourself, your composition, how you actually take care of yourself, the dental, the mental, all the different pieces that you struggle with. How do you actually show up for yourself in body? And you write down a bunch of facts because we want you to actually take an evaluation, not feelings and not emotions, but just what are the facts? What are the facts about how you treat your body? What are the facts about you getting a chiropractic adjustment? What are the facts about how joint pain? Like, what are the facts? Like, all of this. Trying to get facts and build a foundational frame of where you currently are in body. We step into the same thing with being. Who are you being? What is your practice of meditation, Bible reading, connection to God? What is your practice of being a spiritual leader in your home? What's the practice of how you show up on a day-to-day basis on a spiritual side? Balance. What's your connection life with your spouse? What's your connection with your kids? What's the disconnect? What's the positive? What's the negative? Like, how do you actually show up in business? How do you actually make money? Like, what is your thought process, idea around money? Do you have a good or a bad relationship with money, with debt? What does this look like inside of business, not outside of business? All the different aspects. And the goal inside of here is we build just the facts about where you currently are. What is the foundational frame? We call this process oftentimes fact mapping, kind of sits above the whole frame of it. And one of the first pieces we have to talk about is the foundational frame. The foundational frame is you building the facts to actually tell yourself and other people where you currently are. What is your current reality? Where are you currently at? I'd have you consider if we do not do this first, it won't matter everything else that we build. This is one of the biggest problems with a lot of self-help coaches that are focused on your goals and your visions. They just want you to get clear on what's your goals and your visions. They don't want you to actually take time to actually deal with where am I at? Because you might come up with a goal or a vision that doesn't even make sense because of where you're at. So we have to figure out where are you at on the map. Once we know where you're at on the map, then we can chart a course to where you want to go. But if we have no clue where you are on the map, it's like, great goal. But we don't know if you could even start moving that direction because we don't know where you are. So the first piece inside of fact mapping and using the game is getting to the foundational frame. What are the facts about your current body, being, balance, and business? Then from there, we project out. Then from there, we can do the vision casting. We do all the fun stuff, the dreaming stuff, the exciting stuff, but we have to get really nitty gritty on the facts first. Then we move forward. When we move forward, we're looking and casting a vision out 12 months from now. And 12 months from now, we're talking about what would freedom look like. And so we write our freedom map. Now, freedom maps are going to touch on the same exact thing, body, being, balance, and business. But inside of that, they're going to have a different progression and step-up process. Inside of the step-up process, the first aspect is you establishing, hey, based on what I did with my foundational frame, I know that there's certain things in my life that are working and certain things that are not working. From those, are any of those goals that I actually want to go towards? Hey, this is not working. This is actually what I want. Like my weight is not working. My body fat is not working. So this is what I want. Let me tie this to a goal of my body fat percentage and how I show up physically for myself, right? So that's just one example out of many. But inside of this, we're saying, hey, this is the foundational frame. Now, what would freedom look like? Now, freedom, if we kind of do it like on a chart and a scale here, you're like, hey, if I'm down here and I want to go here, what's going to get me there? Now, if you're not careful, you're going to take your goals and you're going to lower them. So you'd be like, well, that was easy to get to. So we start off this process thinking, hey, if you had 4 goals across body, what would be reasonable? Like what would be something that you're currently already doing or would be too hard to implement? You just have to do maybe a couple minutes more, and then it would actually help you attain that outcome. What would be a reasonable goal? Then we look at that, we make sure it's quantifiable. Then we step it up to what would be a radical goal? Like what would be something that would be like 5x that? So not just something you'd have to work harder, but it'd be like, hey, this, I could maybe do this, but it would take a lot of effort. It would take a lot of pushing. And then we look from there and we look at what would be an impossible goal. And the impossible goal is talking about, hey, from where you are, this would look like kind of like 10x. You're like, why would we even want to think that? Like, I don't want to do that and then fail. Well, what I have you understand is if you set the goal for like 2 times better, then you might get like 0.5% that way. If you set it 10x, then you're going to get way closer to 10x than you will 1x. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because 10x is easier than 2x. It's a book, look it up, enjoy that read. But 10x is easier with 2x is this idea of, hey, it is easier to actually do something 10 times bigger because you have to think differently. It forces your mind to think about the problem differently. If it's only 2x, it's like, well, I can work harder. I can do a couple extra reps. I can do a couple extra things. I can connect a little bit more. But it's not actually changing who you are. It's just having you work more and work harder. But instead, the idea is we want to help you work smarter inside of, if it's 10x, what has to shift, what has to change? Mindsets have to shift. Thought process have to shift. Whole different aspects have to change versus you just working harder. So we have the foundational frame that we set up about where you are across body, being, balance, and business. We set up your impossible of, hey, this is what the freedom would look like 12 months from now across body, being, balance, and business, 10xing everything. And then we have to bring it down into what is the focus. The focus is the 30-day window. 30-day window is just trying to understand and see where are we going to be in the next 30 days? What's the first step that we need to do? Now, inside of these and building our focus maps, we actually do these inside of Raw Motivations every single month. We have a refocus and a reframe aspect where we come together and we work on what are we going to do over the next 30 days, where we're building our own challenges. We're building our own steps for ourselves to say, this is what I'm going to execute. This is what I'm going to work on. This is how I'm going to move forward to who I want to be down the road. So inside of this, we come together and we start to build our focus maps across body, being, balance, and business. Are you noticing a theme? Yeah, you're going to hear that a lot inside of Framework Fridays. But inside of this, we go through this process and start scripting out what's the first thing that needs to happen. If this is month 1 out of 12, what's the first things I need to set up, that I need to schedule, that I need to start planning for so I can actually hit my goals? Sometimes it's new habits that need to get formed, new pieces that need to get instituted, new people that you need to hire or work with so that you can start moving forward to who you're actually called to be. Then from there, we'll take that and we'll bring it even smaller. And even smaller, we bring it into your fire maps, which is your weekly war, what you're actually doing on a weekly basis, helping you move towards the month. So we go 12 months out, then we bring it down into 30 days. And then from the 30 days, we bring it down to 7. Small steps at this point. These are not these giant leaps. These are not these massive things. You're trying to crush a million things and work through a million things. These are small steps. Then these small steps that are happening are slowly leading you towards where you want to be for the 30 days, then leading you to where you want to be with the 12 months. So the goal inside of this is that we teach you to get tied to an outcome, and then we start bringing you shorter and smaller, so you're just making small, simple tasks every single day. You track all of this inside the door to make sure that you're on track, to make sure you're going in the right direction, to make sure you're executing day to day. This is what we talked about the other day inside of the door. Hopefully this makes sense. This is just a giant overview. I found that this helps a lot with like ADHD tendencies because you're getting super focused of, hey, there's only these amount of things I need to do this month. There's only these amount of things I need to do this week. There's only these amount of things I need to do this day. When we get this laser focus, it helps you move all the way towards where you want to go even faster. So a lot of times people see my growth. Yes, my growth has been counseling, has been God, has been stacking, but also the progression in my life across all 4 domains has been my ability to get clear on where I want to go and how to actually move every single day towards that outcome. If this resonates with you and you want to learn more, this is an opportunity to work with us inside of Raw Motivations, teaching you the system, but then holding you accountable. Coming back each month and refocusing and reframing you to help you move towards who you're actually called to be. Taking practical steps to keep yourself accountable, to show up and be accountable to a group, to a system, so that you start moving towards your journey and your destiny of who you're actually called to be. If this resonates with you today, then go to rawmotivations.com today.